will subjugate us to their will. And so they're using that as the excuse to say, in every way, super soldiers on the battlefield, artificial intelligence, brain-machine interfacing, whatever, that we've got to get ahead of this technology, or else we're leading to big problems. Another thing, there was a House Foreign Affairs Committee. Did you see this?
No.
A House Foreign Affairs Committee hearing just this last year, 2009. It was held in California. Brad Sherman, Democrat Brad Sherman, chaired this meeting. And now Brad Sherman was picked because he is known for his expertise in the spread of nuclear weapons of mass destruction in the hands of terrorists. But guess what the conference was about? It was about how do we protect ourselves in the future from transhuman terrorists. Mark Stensel, who is a writer for Congressional Quarterly, actually attended this and listened to the House Foreign Affairs Committee hearing meetings, lectures, and he left there and he said, I've never seen anything like it. He wrote an editorial for CQ saying this sounded more like a script for a Hollywood sci-fi movie. They were talking about superhumans, super intelligence, super animals, and how all of this could very soon become literally a lethal force against which we are absolutely unprepared to deal.
Yeah, and in addition to that, they've also used that argument about we've got to expand these technologies before our enemies get the upper hand. We saw this with Project Paperclip in terms of the Nazis being imported to the United States, or Alan Dulles of the CIA saying the Russians will get these Nazis, rocket propulsion scientists, mine scientists that were involved in early MK Ultra programs before they were relocated here. So that's interesting. And the other thing that I was thinking about as you were speaking is that I think why a lot of people aren't aware of some of the things that you're talking about, I think it's obvious people are so bombarded today with the economy, with the fear of not surviving, economic instability around the world. We appear to be on the verge of war with Iran, which could trigger something with China. And so it's interesting to see how much they're preparing for the human species while they have us distracted with all of these other things taking place, and ball games, of course, as well.
Right. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, Tom, I guess a lot of people are probably wondering who's behind this. And I know we only have so much time, but I mean, it definitely looks like a very coordinated, organized intelligence, a very dark intelligence that wants to seize control over the species. And I know there's a lot of theories out there, but there are more people opening up to this idea that fundamentally there's something very, very wrong, and we're in the crosshairs of something.
Yeah, and this is where it begins to borderline, the spiritual, the metaphysical, the supernatural. And interestingly, even among transhumanists, there is the growing belief that this technology could literally lead to the opening of a doorway through which we may make contact with an intelligence that we most certainly are not prepared to deal with. And James Hughes is a Buddhist. There is now a Christian Transhumanist Association. There is a Muslim Transhumanist Association. There's a Mormon Transhumanist Association. And it's
wow.
Yeah, and it's because they too believe that this technology isn't just going to alter us, our biology, but it may even change the definition of soul or spirit, and it may lead to contact with something on the other side. One of the leading transhumanists, Nick Bostrom, actually wrote his thesis, earned his prestigious seat at Oxford University, writing his thesis on transhumanist values. And if you go to his website, nickbostrom.com, and just pull the screen down and click on transhumanist values, thankfully he's got his thesis right online where you can read it. He talks about a great deal of things, but one of the points that he makes is that by merging ourselves with animals, we may be able to open into new modes of perception, because animals can see into areas of the light spectrum, for instance, that we can't see into. And so merging ourselves with them could open new modalities, new sensory modalities. Well, why that's interesting is because, for instance, in the Bible, the story is told of Balaam's donkey. And Balaam's riding down the road, but the donkey can see something he can't see, and that's an angel standing in the middle of the road going to take his head off. So it implies, and of course other studies have been done that show that animals sometimes seem to be reacting to something or afraid of something, a dog barking at something that we can't see. Seems like there might be something there.
Right before an earthquake, sometimes we see disturbances with the moods of animals, or
Yeah.
elephants in Thailand a couple years ago.
That's right. But now, at Arizona State University, where the Templeton Foundation has been funding for the last several years, just a huge line of discussions on transhumanism and the future of democracy. ASU just recently launched a brand new project called the Sophia Project. And I bet people will be surprised if they go to Arizona State University's website, click on the Sophia Project, what they're going to find. Because growing out of this these transhumanist lectures is the idea now that they want to confirm and they want to make contact. That's what this project is about. And then they define what they want to confirm communication with and make contact with. Angels, demons, ghosts, the spirits of the dead, extraterrestrial intelligence, a universal mind, God. The whole list is there. And once again, who is funding the technology that will lead us to humans 2.0 and that whole transhuman future? It's being funded everywhere, in our universities, in our laboratories. It's a global phenomenon, and there's no turning back from it. So where is it going to lead us? I think Hugo De Guerres may have it right. It could lead to an Armageddon, literally a battle between the forces that want to maintain humanity and those who want to destroy it.
There's a lot of concern that we are currently witnessing some sort of implementation of Project Bluebeam as well, with these holograms that are being seen in the skies. For example, the pyramid that was rotating above Moscow recently. We've also seen strange craft in China that don't look entirely real or physical, but to the naked eye, they could appear real. So we've also entered this realm of time, Tom, where we can't necessarily trust our own eyes. Some of your thoughts on this explosion, and I'm not saying UFOs don't exist, but this explosion in sightings that aren't necessarily appearing to be completely legit.
No, you know, I've read about Project Bluebeam in the past, and I also know that they've made great advances in holographic imagery. You might remember some of the funding that was the weapon was called the Voice of God. Studies in cyber warfare and cybernetics, psychotronic warfare. And what is interesting now, you know, DARPA had spent a great deal of money developing a particular kind of microchip some years ago that could be implanted intracranially so that then they would be able to control, let's say, a soldier or a person.
The Rambo chip, was this similar to that or a different?
Well, it may have been similar to the Rambo chip, and I can't for the life of me right now remember the name of it, but it doesn't matter. But what is important is that now the technology is leading to extracranial manipulation of brain waves. And DARPA is investing in this heavily to be able, essentially, to put a Wi-Fi bubble.
So there's no chip required.
No chip required.
No chip required.
Well, and how quickly is this technology advancing? There are games makers right now, that Xbox or whatever, that are putting out games where you just put a little rubber cap on your head.
Oh, perfect.
And it's reading your brain waves. These are in the stores now, and they're coming this Christmas again. And you can literally play a game by looking at the computer screen and thinking about it. So we have come so far in decoding the neural processes of the brain, the secret language of the brain, that now we can read the signals, and then we can transmit them remotely to a computer that then puts it in computer language, decodes it, puts it in articulate computer language, so that we're telling a game system what we do or do not want it to do just by thinking about it. Well, if games makers are that advanced, imagine how far advanced the DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, the U.S. Air Force, the U.S. Marines, and other advanced cultures around the world are right now in military technology, being able to remotely access and control, stimulate, and manipulate brainwave activity. So, I mean, the transhumanist looks at this and they say, this is so great. The future home. We'll all have our own little Wi-Fi bubble over the top of our house, and we can do everything. We can change channels. We can turn the lights off at home. We can set the alarm. We can say, hey, telephone, call mom, without even speaking. Furthermore, we're creating a synthetic form of telekinesis, because if we're